Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin. I've got Coinbase chart up, BTC USD 1 week chart. I know I beat this chart to death, but these are the massive resistance and support zones that we're still looking at. We can see that this massive ascending resistance line is the next resistance line that we're going to be looking at. If we can see Bitcoin break above that, it's going to be a very bullish indication. As of now, the 1 week chart, the candle is looking very bullish. We had a nice little reversal candle down here, continuing to be bullish for this week so far. Things are looking very good. Even though we've had a nice little pullback today, I'm still bullish, at least in the short term for right now. The resistance that we're still looking at, excuse me, guys, that we're still looking at is that 6,000 to 5800 support, excuse me, not resistance, support. A break below that, as I've told you guys many times in the past, I would expect it to go head down to this ascending support line here. This massive ascending support line, for those of you that don't know, goes all the way back to early 2017. So these are just the quick resistance support zones that we are still looking at, just to recap for those of you that haven't been watching my videos. For now, zooming into the 4-hour chart on Coinbase, we've got a nice little wedge that's been forming here, guys. I am expecting it to break out of this wedge within probably the next, at least by the end of the day, maybe in the next 8 hours or so. I'm expecting a breakout of this wedge, either to the up or the downside, guys. If we do break to the upside, I'm expecting it to test this resistance at 6800 to about 6750, somewhere thereabouts. I would expect a reaction off of that. And if we can break above that, that would be an extremely bullish sign. For now, guys, it is looking more like it's going to break to the downside, which I will discuss that a little bit further here in a little bit. But in my opinion, more than likely it may break to the downside. I could be wrong, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. If it does break to the downside, we're gonna test this this support zone of about 6380 to about 6300 or 6330, somewhere thereabouts. That was a nice little demand zone. There are a lot of buy orders that are sitting right here, so I would expect a nice little bounce, a little reaction off of that. I've got some buy orders down in this area, little dollar cost averaging in for a quick swing trade. If in fact that does end up breaking down and it does end up breaking into this zone, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Excuse me, guys. Looking at my bigger picture count, I know I beat this to death, but for those of you who haven't seen it, I do still believe we are in an ABCDE pattern, or a WXY pattern, I should say, resulting in an ABCDE. I know before I was talking about an ABC. That is still possible. This is possibly just an ABC. If that is in fact the case, then we are in 5 impulse waves up. For now, though, my big picture count is an ABCDE. The reason for that is, guys, we are watching this, this continuing decline of volume. Even with this rally, we haven't seen any major spike in volume at all. That tells me that this is more than likely a third guppy rally, at least for now, guys. At least for now, that's the way it looks. I hope that it isn't. I'm a bull at heart, guys. I'd love to see this thing just break out and go off and tear on the bull run that we're all waiting for. But I'm not convinced that we're there yet. As we can see that when we broke up to 20 grand, we had a nice little, we had a massive fall down to about 5800. From there, guys, I think it was all manipulation. I think a lot of whales were trapped in their position. They wanted to transfer their positions over to smaller investors, so they propped the price up. Sure enough, investors bought in. We thought this was another bull run, only to be extremely disappointed. It topped out here at about 11.8. And then we had this was just a pure guppy rally, guys, pure manipulation in my opinion. And then we came back down here to test about 6400 or thereabouts. We had a second guppy rally. You can see that there were a lot fewer people that went for this one, a lot weaker. Volume continued to decline. Only went up, wasn't even able to break 10,000 this time, went up to about 9990, and then continued back down to create a lower low for 2018. Excuse me, guys. And now we're continuing to trend up again. Volume is still, on a whole, looking at the daily chart, volume is still declining, which tells me that this is possibly a third guppy rally, possibly a weaker guppy rally this time around. We can see that it's created a series of lower highs, lower high, lower high, and I would expect another lower high that'd be consistent with an ABCDE pattern coming down for an E, and that would, in my opinion, more than likely complete the pattern, and then we'd be off to the races. Now, things that'll invalidate that, if we do get a massive spike in volume, if volume starts to look like it's going in the other direction, that's going to be more than likely the first sign that we are in a longer term uptrend. Second thing that I'm going to be watching is this massive ascending resistance line. If we can break above that, That's going to be an extremely bullish indication that we are in a longer term uptrend. And the third thing I'm going to be watching is a break of this continuing lower highs. If we can break above 10,000, that would break this cycle of lower highs, and that would tell me that we are in fact off to the races and the bulls are taking full control of the market. So that would be the last thing I'd be looking at. So volume, this ascending resistance line here, and then a break, if we can break above that, finally a break above 10,000 to create a higher high and break this, or excuse me, not a higher high, but break this lower high, consistent lower high that we've been watching here. That would break that pattern, and then in my opinion, that would tell me that the bulls are in more control of this market. Excuse me, guys. Looking at the MACD, let me just zoom this out so you can see this a little bit better. Looking at the 4-hour MACD, guys, we can see that price has been uptrending while the MACD has been downtrending. That is bearish divergence. That is still just on the 4-hour chart. That tells me that more than likely we are going to see a temporary decline in price, probably down to test around, as I said earlier, about that 6350 zone or thereabouts. So that's what that indicates, in my opinion. More than likely, we are going to see a temporary pullback. Does that mean we're going to see a massive pullback? No. I don't see any evidence of that quite yet. More than likely, just a temporary pullback. We'll have to wait and see. If it does break this about 3500, if it does break below this support, which the bottom of that support is about 6330, if it does break below that, we are more than likely going to come back down here to about 6100 or thereabouts. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. We're not there yet. Looking at the 4-hour RSI, it has established an ascending support line. It's respected at 3 different times. If we do get a pullback, if it does end up going as far as this ascending support line, I would expect to get a reaction off the ascending support line. If not, then we are more than likely going to head down to about 6100 or thereabouts. So we'll keep an eye on this ascending support line on the 4-hour RSI. Looking at my bullish count, excuse me, this is my primary count now, guys. I told you, if you didn't watch my last video, I explained that this looks like a leading diagonal, which is often found in the beginning of the first wave of an uptrend, of a trend reversal and an uptrend. Remember, this is still the first primary wave. I've got the subwaves listed out here. Excuse me. We've got a 1, 2. For those that missed my last video, no, this 2 did not retrace more than the start of wave 1, so that is still a very valid 2. Up for the 3, a 4, and now a 5th wave. The question is, where was this 5th wave? Was this the top of the 5th wave? We can see if it was. We had a little throw over from the from this wedge, which is also a leading diagonal. That is a hallmark of a leading diagonal, a throw over, and then a correction into an ABC pattern. I'm not convinced that we're not there yet. That is my primary account. More than likely, this is an ABCDE pattern that we're starting to watch right now. We can see that it's breaking from this ascending support line here, breaking out of the wedge. So more than likely, it's going to continue to the downside. We'll have to wait and see. It could still possibly wick. This candle isn't closed quite yet, so this could still be a wick, and we could still see a higher 5th wave, something in this neighborhood. I don't think that's the case, but it is possible. It is possible, guys. Certainly is still a contender. It is still on the table. More than likely, though, we have seen the 5th wave here, shortened 5th wave, and we are more than likely in an ABCDE, somewhere something like this would make sense in my opinion. We'll just have to wait and see what this does. I'm watching it's breaking out as we are, as I am making this review. So, more than likely this is an ABCDE, and we have seen the top of wave 5. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens, guys. My bearish count is still on the table. Let me switch over to that very quickly. From a bigger perspective, guys, we had the ABC. This is still a larger C wave here, 5 waves down. If we haven't seen the bottom of C, I would expect it to come somewhere in this area, somewhere along this ascending support line, this larger ascending support line. I've got the subwaves listed here in pink. Let me zoom in. We did have, it does almost look like a double top, so that would suggest that we may continue this downtrend if that was in fact a double top. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Again, I don't think this is not my primary count. However, it is on the table. It is still a contender, so I do want to cover it very quickly. If this count is accurate, we've got a subwave 2 coming down for a subwave 3 currently. I would expect subwave 3 to come down somewhere in this area before we get a little reaction for a 4. This pardon me, guys. This what was major support would now act as resistance. I would expect the 4 to come somewhere in that area, and then down for a 5 somewhere in the area of this massive ascending support line. I'm not going into too much detail right now, guys, on this because I don't think this is a valid count. It is my secondary count, but I'm not 100% convinced at all by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even 50% convinced that this is the count that we are in. However, it is a contender, so I'm covering it very, very quickly. So this is, I've got these yellow, what looks like the beginning of a wedge here drawn out, because if this is a valid count, guys, it wouldn't surprise me if this turns out to be a ending diagonal, the final wave down, the final fifth wave of an ending diagonal to begin the larger uptrend. Of course, these are the subwaves of the larger fifth wave here. So I've got it drawn the way I do because I would expect if this is a valid count, I would expect this to end up being a ending diagonal. It's kind of got the hallmarks of an ending diagonal. So that wouldn't surprise me a bit, which is why I've got it marked the way it is. But again, this is still my primary count, this bullish count here, and I do believe we are still in we are entering an ABCDE, or excuse me, just an ABC correction right now. So that's all I've got for now, guys. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, criticism, praise, I take it all in the comment section below. Please let me know. If you have found this content valuable, I certainly would appreciate a upvote or a re-steam, or both. I would certainly appreciate your support, guys. Again, I don't do this for the few dollars I make on Steam. I do this for you guys. I had a mentor that helped me out a lot, and I just like to pay it forward, guys. So I do this for you. So I do take your comments and suggestions very seriously. Until next time, guys, please be safe. Please make sure you're not trading any more than you can afford to lose. I will try to update you guys again on Bitcoin tomorrow, possibly later on today, if there is any kind of a major move. So until then, be safe, guys. This is Working, signing out. Take care.